Wolf Syndrome asked me a question in my 100 subs video asking about, you know, superstitions, and I will be answering that more directly in my response video next week. But it did get me thinking about something I had thought about making a video recently about, which is superstitions and how they form, how superstitions, beliefs, and such come about. Because over the 20 years or so that I've been playing video games on different systems and stuff, I've seen this with myself and seen the phenomena with other people where people get these really strange and different and unique superstitions about games. Where people get an idea about what certain buttons will do. Take Diablo 2 and the infamous crystal. Or the idea that, the last one to hit the monster will get the drop. Or, you gotta cast a spell at the right time and the right way to get a drop. Or, it has to be the right time. Or the different phases of the moon in games, or a different time, or where you are, how high a level you are compared to the monster, or how many times you've run the area. And all these things come about, and some of them turn out to be true, and some don't. But what's really interesting is, even when the developers come out and say, no, there is no such thing in the game, the people consistently follow the idea. Because to them, they've already been convinced because they have seen it. And I found myself doing this from time to time in games. And I'm wondering, is it just human nature? We look for patterns, and then once we find a pattern, we seek out evidence for the pattern. Even if later stuff contradicts the idea that the pattern originally created. And I've heard interesting stories and experiments have been done with animals that have created similar things. Like, the one experiment was pigeons. They had pigeons in cages, and pigeons would randomly get food. The food would just pop out at a random time. There was absolutely no set term. It could be seconds apart, it could be hours apart, it could be minutes apart, whatever. And it was completely 100% random. But what they discovered is, after a while, the pigeons would start treating superstitious-like actions. Like they seemed to repeat what they were doing the previous time they got the food, and trying to repeat it as if they were trying to figure out, okay, maybe I was doing this and this got me the food. And even we don't completely 100% understand what was going on in their mind, but they followed this very similar superstitious thing, each one having their own idea. And they would repeat it over and over, and when they got the food and it worked, they got the confirmation. And it just, interesting bit of thing I found, that, is this where religion comes from, or where some of the more superstitious ideas of religion comes from, like praying and such, that over and over time people slowly get these ideas. And it's so much quicker and easier to see in video games and stuff due to the fact that it's quicker and you can more easily repeat and test things. Because I'm still seeing this today, where shortly after a game comes out, people get these really superstitious ideas. And yes, some people come out with the correct answers, and quite often they do, but just as often, they'll come up with things that aren't true. And some of them are really convoluted ideas. Like, I remember, some I've seen recently were, elaborate ideas, like you had to do certain things in a certain place at certain times, and it just seems strange, but Is this sort of how the big superstitions that we have, the old ones about black cat, throwing salt over your shoulder, walk under a ladder, and so on? Is that is that where these superstitions come from? It's just repeated things, or is there more to it? Just something I found interesting and was thinking about. Oh well. If you haven't already commented on my other video, or given a question to ask me, go ahead and ask if you're up for it. I'd like to hear your thoughts and opinions on my videos, and if you got answer any questions you got for me.